Welcome back to another episode. Always like to remind you all, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you like the content, it's greatly appreciated. Today is currently the 18th. We are literally less than 24 hours away from the Detroit Pistons' first playoff matchup. Over 8 years, right? 7 years, give or
Something like that.
take,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So ton of excitement. I'm actually down here in Florida with my family. Been walking around my Pistons gear on. Got my Pistons shirt for tomorrow. We go to the beach. Definitely been repping them. I've been talking Cade up all week. But yeah, what we plan on doing today is really just diving into the matchup with the New York Knicks. Good team, but I like how we match up well against them, given how we played against them in the during the season. But yeah, that being said, I'll kick it over to you. Just want to kind of see your thoughts as we dive into some of the keys that we think will be necessary to execute in order to beat the Knicks
Yeah.
in a 7 game series.
100%. I guess I'll start out by just reiterating a little bit something we hopped on. We've said throughout the year that we are probably ahead of schedule, maybe even a season or so.
Yeah.
We turned it on. If we would have finished at 32 and 50 this year, we would have been fairly satisfied coming off what we had. So the fact that we're in the mix, we got the sixth seed. We had Cade sit out arguably the last he probably missed 7, 8 games down the stretch. They
Hmm.
still took a lot of those games. So I'm overall we are exactly where we want to be. And I truly think heading into the series, the pressure is on the Knicks. The Knicks went out, spent all
Yeah.
the money. The Knicks talked players into taking less money. They traded every draft pick from now until 2030 to get somebody to their inner city rival, the Brooklyn Nets. So I think, they went all chips into the middle of the table this year. And we are kind of I don't want to call us a Cinderella team, but a form of a Cinderella team where we, not a lot was thought of us going into the season. Not a lot was thought of us, what I would say heading into right around All-Star break. Once Cade got that All-Star bid, he dropped a couple 40 pieces, things of that nature. Then people started to realize once he had stats that only like him and Luca and LeBron has ever had as a, you know, 24-year-old or whatever the age was, people began to notice.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously we got the muscle. We got one of the best young up and coming players in the league in Cade. We got the muscle down in the paint with Isaiah Stewart, cut right from that typical Pistons cloth. Saying all
Hmm.
that to say, I'm I'm not ready to write us off. I truly think
Yeah.
we can go in there and beat them. They got us one time this year in November. I think the third or fourth game of the year.
Completely different team now.
Completely different team. And we've got them 3 times since then. We've got them at full strength. We've got them a little banged up. We played them when we were banged up or down players, and it didn't really seem to matter. On the road in the Garden at LCA in Detroit. Either way, they were getting a heavy dose of Cade. You look at his stats this year. I'm already blanking. Either it was like 34, 8-7 or something, or 31, 8-7 versus the
Yeah.
Knicks.
Something like that. Yeah.
They literally do not have an answer for him.
Right.
You watched him in that last game. He lowered his shoulder and threw Brunson on the ground like a 6'2" point guard he is, and Cade acted all of 6'8" like he is. So, um, I overall I think a lot of it comes. Obviously, it's a long series, but I think you set that tone game one. You go in there and get them on their ropes. 24 hours from now, if we're sitting there and it's a close game, mid third quarter and it's 88, 82, they're going to begin to feel that. That only feeds into what we have going as far as a young team and that confidence. And I think so much of it really depends on that game one. We go in there and get the breaks beat off of us. Okay, the team might say, okay, we're a little ahead of schedule. We go in there and beat them, even if it's a
Yeah.
close game. I think that them young boys don't know we have no business in this game. And that's kind of the overall 1,000-foot view that I see. And I'm just looking forward to, like you said, finally getting to see some meaningful playoff basketball in Detroit.
Hmm.
And I think I actually watched a couple of this is a whole nother point, but I watched a couple of Knicks podcasts, fans similar to us, but Knicks fans, and they're almost talking spicy to us, talking disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I think if that team comes in with the same sentiment as their fans, they're going to get punched right in the mouth.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you echo a lot of that. Think I've been preaching house money, house money. Just excited about the position that we in. We already talked about it before he jumped on, but like, trading for McHale, trading for Cat, all these draft picks, like putting all the chips on the table. Brunson taking just a disgusting
Massive.
pay cut.
Yeah.
They've kind of been, turbulent, through this season, as far as just going back and forth about the minutes for, minutes and how many minutes some of the guys are playing in the starting lineup. You can start hearing some rumblings around Thibodeau. I find it hard pressed that a team will be able to just kind of like push all that aside and just kind of come out and like, you know, just like play out of their minds out of nowhere. So I do feel like, they're starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. I think, like I said, we're kind of just walking in here like we probably really should have been playing tonight in the play-in, trying to fight for an eight
Yeah.
seed, matching up against Cleveland or matching up against Boston, but we're able to get hot late, position ourselves, in the sixth seed. And I mean, yeah, and I think, it's one of those things too. You got a lot of guys that don't know no better. You're gonna have Ron Holland and Asar Thompson, younger guys out there kind of like, I mean, hell, our whole team is young, but like, guys out there, all they've been doing all season is playing hard, and like it's been helping contribute to wins. And Cade, I mean, he's been leading the charge. He's pretty much been on a heater since about early December, early to mid December, and I imagine they're gonna be playing him a certain way, but this is gonna have to be a good opportunity for a lot of these vets that we signed, to
Yeah.
play, come play some good basketball. Like Schroeder, he's been in the conference finals. He's played a ton of playoff games. Tobias Harris, people kind of talk about how he hasn't played as well in the playoffs, but I think this situation fits him better, as far
Yeah.
as like I expect him to play pretty well. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. He's played pretty
He was in the
well since
finals last
Jaden
year.
Ivey's went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the NBA Finals last year. So, light's not too bright for a lot of these guys on this team. I feel like Cade. I mean, we're biased, but I don't think any lights is too bright for him. I have yet to see anybody slow him down, and I don't
No,
think it's
lights
going
ain't
to
too bright. He got the
change.
buffs on. Lights ain't too bright. He
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's oozing with confidence. I mean, I loved how we were all kind of worried about the injury, and he missed about a week and a half, and came back and was averaging pretty
Didn't
much
miss a
30
beat.
until the
Yeah.
season ended. Yeah, I mean, he was rusty for about a half, and then got right back to it. So yeah, I like where we're at. I feel real good about where we're at, and yeah, I guess we can kind of just dive into what we think from like a game standpoint, and just kind of think about how we feel. They can, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess let's ask you how many games you want to kind of break down. What games we need to win, put us in position, and kind of see your thoughts when it comes to that.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say one thing I think before we dive into that, I would say just how they watching listening to Knicks fans talk, they were
Yeah.
big on Thibodeau trapping and dropping players, trapping and dropping
Mm.
players. And then they mentioned that, which I didn't even realize, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, that Cade throughout the 4 games we played in this year shot 52% from three. So that trapping and dropping is not working. And they were
Yeah.
they were encouraging them to continue to trap, to double, and force the ball out of Cade's hands, which I think feeds right into what you were saying, that's Schroeder needs to become a knockdown shooter.
Hmm.
Beasley needs to continue to do what he did
Yeah.
all season. I think he finished 1 3 point shy of the most this year behind Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. We're
He had
like
like
100 less shots,
319 or something.
like 100 less shot
Yeah.
attempts
So
too, I
I didn't even
think.
realize that part. So
Yeah.
yeah, so basically he got it as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Hmm. For
But
sure.
he needs to continue to do that. Tobias Harris needs to he needs them three need to two of them have to be on in order for
Yeah.
this to work. Because I think they're probably going to continue to double K, try to push that ball way out and then make him be a playmaker versus just kind of head down, driving to the basket and shooting shots, which what they kind of forced them to do all year. But I also think that plays to our advantage a little bit because if we are knocking down shots, then that game plan goes out of the window and it's just frustration. If you're doubling Cade and he's swinging it to Tim Hardaway for a wide open three, that's just as demoralizing as Cade hitting it. I mean, so I think
Yeah.
that, like you said, those veteran players have to step up between Shooter, um, Beasley. I didn't even put him as a veteran. Shooter, Beasley, uh, Tobias Harris, and Tim Hardaway. Two of those guys have to be on, and then we can survive and pass. Outside of
Sure.
that, I think continue to bully them in the paint. I wouldn't shy away from any physicality. I think Ant or Cat, I'm saying you can bully him around, you can frustrate him, take him right out of games. He's
Yeah. He'll
obviously
take himself out, fouls, like
he'll take
offensive
himself out with
fouls.
fouls like he did
Yep.
last game we played. He's sitting there. I seen Isaiah Stewart got his third foul, and then literally 2 or 3 plays later, he went and got his third. That's a bonehead play. You are
Hmm.
much more valuable on the court than Isaiah Stewart on the court for each your respectable teams. So, and so him just playing out of character, trying to be a little more physical or trying to be something he's not, can hurt his game. And then him playing kind of the shy stretch four, finesse four also plays to our advantage. So I think he has to play above and beyond what he has throughout the year in order for this to work. And so let's say game one, I think is one of the more pivotal games. I think whoever wins that kind of steals the momentum because even though it's 3 versus 6, it's kind of a toss up if you listen to the media. It's kind of a toss up if you listen to fans
Yeah,
talk about it. So I think that first game sets the tone for, hey, we're meant to be in this game or them. Hey, let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way and focus on somebody that matters. And then outside of that, I think they have much more to prove than us. Look at their record versus the top 3 teams in the East. It is abysmal. They have, I, I think versus I looked versus the top
I
five
saw.
teams in NBA total. They're 1-15.
I saw he lost like 8 straight to the Celtics
So
dating back to last year too.
that's versus OKC, Boston,
Yeah.
Cleveland. So they're beating up on the bottom feeders, and then they're
Hmm.
losing to teams that are in the hunt for playoffs. So I think that plays to our advantage. We went in and beat. We've got Boston. I think we've beat the Knicks a couple times.
Got
We got
Cleveland.
Cleveland. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just to wrap up, what I'm saying, if this was college basketball, we have much more quad one wins than they do.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, no, you hit it on the head with that there. And I was gonna say too, like, another thing, just like a lot of the pressure I feel like being on them, they haven't beat Boston in 2 years. And I think they like are lost like 7 of the last 8, something crazy like that. And like you have that like not obviously Boston can do something crazy and lose, but I mean we've kind of seen what they've looked like all season. But you are kind of look like if you're the New York Knicks, like you're kind of like stuck in a rock and a hard place because you have this matchup you're in the first round, to where like a team that can match up with you from a physical standpoint. I think had the best point guard in the league in my opinion, and then you're also looking ahead to like the
The
Celtics, to
juggernaut. Yeah,
where,
right.
yeah, the
Yeah,
juggernaut, the team that you put all the chips to the middle of the table for, the one that you were kind of preparing for. And like you said, you haven't really played to your expectation as far as playing against Cleveland and some of these other like, contenders. So for them, I mean, yeah, like all I wait for them to do at this point, and this is gonna sound a little cocky, but all I wait for them to do at this point is just crumble.
yeah,
Like, we're gonna see. Like they either gonna, rise to the occasion or they're gonna kind of fold under the pressure. Yeah, like I said, I just kept saying like where we're at to where we're, yeah, we're just a physical team, hungry, ready to make some noise and just position really well to I think be able to take them to the brink, if not beat them. And I think we will and can beat them for sure.
yeah. No, I agree. So I'll jump out and say it. I think it goes one of two ways. I see the Pistons winning a long, hard series in 7, or losing in 6. I think it'll be one or the other. I think we'll push them. It'll be some tough, good ass games.
Hmm.
Arguably, I would say probably. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but one of the better matchups of the first round. You
Yeah.
other, I mean, the Knicks and maybe the Lakers have the 2 hardest first round. Like,
Yeah.
you played hard to get a 3rd seed, and you fell into playing these 2 different teams. So I would say the Knicks are in the same exact boat as the Lakers, where you don't want to run into Ant Man in that crew, just like you don't want
Hmm.
to run into Kate in this crew.
Yeah.
And it's not a team where you'll be able to have a couple of off games or off nights and all right, we won 5 or 4-1. Just get out of here. You have a couple of off nights, you'll be going into game 7 with all your players averaging around 40 minutes a game. We have a much
Hmm.
deeper bench than them.
Ain't gonna
They went
feel
all
it
in
too
that starting lineup. Our
from a
bench
physicality
is,
standpoint.
yep, yeah. So we're physical. We can get in their head, and then outside of that, I just think we just have a swagger about us where we're not gonna go out like no bitches, for lack of a better term. I think we have some swagger about us, and the physicality is going to keep us in those games, especially with their primary big man being a little finesse, and our primary big guys being junkyard dogs. So
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
that's the night and day. Obviously Brunson's a phenomenal player, and playoff Brunson is a whole nother beast. But we don't know what playoff Cade looks like. We don't. And I'm saying that to say in a good way. Like we don't. He's rose to every occasion we put him in. He's hit game
Hmm.
winners this year. He's developed and naturally progressed into an all NBA type player. So
Yep.
he, I'm just feeling good about it, bro. I really do. So kind of high, I guess, what are your general thoughts on,
Yeah.
how long the series ago, or kind of what that looks like.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think, if I had to kind of break down, I guess maybe kind of like ideal situation, I feel like we're very capable of still in one of these games on the road. Sometimes that game one's kind of a fill out game, you
Hmm.
know. But I could definitely like I've been saying it, like that 32, 8-8 game two performance from Cade, game one performance, we still one of those games going to hit like crack in the 80s. I really do feel like, we could steal one of those. And then we go back to Detroit. That crowd, I heard, I think I sent you something where they not allowing Knicks fans to, even really buy tickets. Probably Spike Lee probably gonna be the only one. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but we
Yeah.
know he's gonna be courtside for sure. They're gonna make sure that place is rocking. And I think if we're able to, get one, get two of those, put them in spots where they down 3-1, go back to New York, they'll probably, throw all the truck chips and, just throw everything the kitchen sink at us to get that fifth game. And, it'd be kind of on us to close it out in the six at home, which would be, yeah, I think it would be just a cap and then some on a just amazing turnaround, a record setting turnaround for them overall. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say Pistons in six.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, bro. It's Yeah, and that crowd's gonna be so hostile. I mean, think about, I
Yeah.
mean, you down there in sunny Florida, Florida G right now. You talking about trying to find a way to get up to go send some nosebleeds for the game. Uh
Yeah.
people I work with or used to work with posting they got tickets. Like people are amped for this. We've been hungry
Yeah.
for this for a while, and I don't think the fans are gonna take it for granted. And I think the fans also you know, Detroit, period. We like physical teams. We like from the bad boys to go to work again Pistons to the grit Detroit Lions. I think we honor and cherish that. And
Hmm.
um and so I say let's say the crowd is gonna mimic that. Now I don't think this is gonna be a fun place to go play at all. So I'm right there with you in them playing, I think the longer the series goes, let's say, I mean, obviously the longer the series goes is in our advantage, I would say, because they're supposed to get us out of here. So if we lingered at the
Hmm.
6 games, we lingered at the 7 games, and then you're gonna start playing, Josh Hart and Brunson, all them ticking at 45, 42, 43 minutes a game, like tip it out, run them players into the ground. So I don't think you prolong that through a series. I think that plays to our advantage when we're hanging out in the game and Cade only has 32 minutes clocked last game. He didn't have 40
Hmm.
minutes clocked, 45 minutes clocked. I think all that add up as it continues to go down the line. And yeah, so I'm right there with you, bro. And we got a coach with some playoff experience, been around the ball,
Yeah.
so he's not that shy. So we're a young team, but we have pieces that have been around and been into some meaningful late April, early May type
Yeah.
basketball. So
We've been playing playoff basketball for the last 2-3 weeks because you
yeah.
wanted that six seed. You wanted to stay out of I mean, we would have been fine either way, but like,
Yeah, we were
they
fighting
won
for
some
that
that
just to
series.
get into it. And we
Yeah.
talking all this non-playoff experience, like the Knicks are loaded with guys that have been to the finals 100 times. You know, they
Right.
got
Yeah.
they got. I mean, they're a more mature, older team, so they just because of that they got
Hmm.
it. But I haven't seen Brunson go on a championship type run. I haven't seen Cat go on a championship type run. I think
Yeah.
they all have experience because they've been around. They haven't been focal points in the playoffs throughout. So
Right.
yeah, no, I'm right there with you, bro. It's a great time to be a Pistons fan, man.
Hmm.
And I think watching them fans talk about it, they're nervous. They were optimistic. One of them said 4-1, the other said, we might get 2 games. I think the fact that they could even admit that lets you know that there's a little
Uneasiness because yeah,
yeah, a
like I
little
said,
uneasiness in it.
it
Yeah.
looks a little turbulent over there.
And they speak
Just
about
from
Cade like he's the boogeyman. They talk about
calling the
how
villain
they just
already.
don't have an answer for him, and they talked about how you know they're kind of scared of what Asar Thompson could do as far as just being a sticky defender and,
Hmm.
and kind of disrupting things and just having him be like, hey, don't even worry about scoring. Give
Yeah.
180% effort on defense. Um, and try to just disrupt Brunson. And I think if you can take Brunson out to us, even knock him off his game 15, 20%, that disrupts the rest of that flow because they need him. He's kind of the driving force of that engine, similar to Cade, where if he's out of the game and not flowing as well, I think it kind of knocks everybody off because they don't have a lot of guys that can just go and create their own shot. They have
Hmm.
it's all kind of built around Brunson being that engine of that car there. So uh no, I'm feeling I hope we get back on here on Wednesday and we're sitting here minimum of 1-1. Um but I think that is entirely possible. We hop back on next Wednesday. We're sitting at 1-1.
Yeah, yeah, very possible. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm all right. To my aunts, my mom, whatever y'all want to do tomorrow, we gotta be done by
Gotta be over by
6.
6.
Yeah, got the TV in the living room to myself. Just can't wait. Like I said, it's yeah. I don't know. I've always felt like this is so much more meaningful than sometimes the Lions being better because this is the team that brought us our most recent championship, professionally for the state of or the state of Michigan. So
No, this is the first
great.
professional team I fell in love with. What I mean?
Yeah.
Like I remember being,
Jerry Stackhouse, Chucky Atkins, all them
yeah,
guys,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Just, I remember falling asleep on the couch like in like third grade when Billups hit that half court shot versus
The Nets,
the
yeah.
Nets. And like I just remember running around my house at like 10 years old. So like we was born
Hmm.
into it. We weren't, we didn't
Yeah.
end up in it later. So
Yeah.
I think
I never forget turn it on because mom would never let me stay up watch all the games during the week. But I never forget turning on ESPN the next morning and watching literally as soon as I turned it on, Tayshaun Prince was the number one play on top 10, ESPN top 10, blocking Reggie
yep.
Miller's shot. Yeah, just so yeah, you feel like nostalgia, nostalgia and just
Yeah. And the
you know,
NBA is better when the Pistons are better. We one of them, they need that, we the I don't want to call we the Raiders at the NBA. We kind of we
hmm
accept the bad boy. We accept, all that
yeah.
and it truly is the basketball is better. We are a great basketball city. And
Hmm.
I think this would be put the rest of the league on notice that this wasn't a blip in the radar and we're gonna be on the map for as long as we got Cade. I
Hmm.
mean, let's not even talk about our second best player not even playing. Hasn't played
Yeah.
since I don't know December, whenever he got hurt. So
Yeah.
it yeah, no, we in a prime spot. And I feel like if the darker it gets, look like I'm filming like the Blair Witch Project or something. Just like
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself, it's just kind of great.
What's up behind you?
I just need the fucking snot come down like the movie. But no, bro, you got anything else for the people?
No, that's all I got, man. We'll be back with y'all next week. And yeah, go Pistons. Definitely looking forward to tomorrow.
And maybe
Peace
we'll do a
out.
crash course on the Lions right for the draft. Throw a little bit,
Yeah, might
yeah.
might work some
It
of that in
depends
too.
on what this series looks like. But we owe them a little bit of respect. But yeah, we'll be back at you
Definitely.
next week. Yeah,
Absolutely.
peace.
Peace.